Hello, this is Mr. Harper. I want to talk about the last section of the alimentary canal. That's the large intestine, and about accessory organs that put digestive enzymes and other substances into the alimentary canal that assist with digestion. So we've talked about the first section of the alimentary canal. We talked about the mouth. We talked about the esophagus. We've talked about the stomach. We've talked about the small intestine, which is, you remember, is the very long part of the alimentary canal. And now we want to talk about this last section, the much shorter but much larger in diameter large intestine that extends from the end of the small intestine to the anus. So let's get started. So once digestion is complete in the small intestine and the nutrients that can be absorbed, the useful nutrients that can be absorbed from our food matter have been absorbed into from the small intestine into the bloodstream. Then the materials that remain, the chyme that remains, is pushed by peristalsis, because peristalsis is that squeezing action that I talked about with the esophagus. But peristalsis is the squeezing muscle action that pushes food through the entire alimentary canal, from the stomach into the small intestine and then into the large intestine. And then the pushing of material through the large intestine also occurs by peristalsis. So it's a squeezing action. So here's the first part of the large intestine. Chyme comes in the large intestine, around, up, over, and down, and then out. The large intestine is also known as the colon. It is larger in diameter than the small intestine, as I previously said, but it's shorter. There are several functions that the large intestine does. First, it absorbs water from that chyme. It doesn't participate in digestion. When the chyme leaves the small intestine, all digestion is complete. There's no more digestion occurring. But it absorbs water from that chyme and eliminates food particles that are indigestible to us from the body as feces. Now, when water gets absorbed, if the large intestine absorbs too much water from that chyme, then our feces become very hard, and many people become constipated and have a hard time expelling that from their bodies. If too little water is removed from the feces, then you experience diarrhea because there's too much water left in the feces. But this large intestine, it does an important job with the absorption of water, because this helps your body maintain homeostasis. If you don't absorb enough water back out of that fecal matter, then you could become dehydrated, because it's a balance of water in your body that is occurring, and the balance of water in the fecal matter. So also in the large intestine, there are bacteria. Many bacteria live in the large intestine. This is a good thing. This is normal. You need that bacteria there. It's a beneficial bacteria. And it helps to break down some of the things that we could not digest. And from those things, we get vitamins, several vitamins, primarily vitamin K and also vitamin B. Those are absorbed along with the water right through the walls of that large intestine into the bloodstream. This bacteria, as it eats, it releases waste product. It releases a gas. It's a source of gas that occurs in our large intestine, and also the source of odor that's in our fecal matter. So once that water and that those vitamins, vitamin B and vitamin K, have been absorbed into the bloodstream right through the walls of the large intestine, the remaining materials are eliminated from your body as feces. They move from the large intestine into the rectum, which is just the last end part of the large intestine by peristalsis. It's stored until the anal sphincter that holds the anus closed, it's a muscle, a circular muscle, until it's triggered to open. As more and more fecal matter enter that rectum, then the pressure on that anal sphincter builds, and you get that sensation that you have to go. Anal sphincter relaxes. When it does, fecal matter leaves the body. This happens daily. You should be every day. Should be pooping. Now, so that is the end of discussion on large intestine. Remember, it absorbs, water is absorbed from the fecal matter, no digestion in the large intestine, bacteria in the large intestine, good thing. They eat the indigestible materials that are in the fecal matter, and they make, as a result of that, vitamins B and K that are absorbed by your body. Now, let's turn our attention to and talk about some accessory digestive organs. Accessory digestive organs are organs that put materials into the alimentary canal, but they are not part of the alimentary canal. They use ducts, little hollow tubes, to put things into the alimentary canal. The first is the pancreas, and it makes several different kinds of digestive enzymes that break down all kinds of food. The pancreas makes digestive enzymes that break down proteins. It makes digestive enzymes that break down carbohydrates. The enzymes are secreted into the duodenum of the small intestine. Remember, the duodenum is the very first part of the small intestine. Pancreas also does other things. But let's look here at a little bit closer, and we'll talk about some of those other things too. The pancreas secretes amylase. It helps the completion of the digestion of starches or carbohydrates that was started with amylase in your saliva in your mouth. It secretes an enzyme called trypsin that digests proteins. If you remember, protein digestion starts in the stomach with pepsin. It's completed in the small intestine with trypsin. It secretes lipase, which is responsible for digesting fats. That makes nucleases that digest nucleic acids, which are part of our DNA, is one of our nucleic acids. It also secretes other enzymes that break down sugars. And it secretes sodium bicarbonate. We talked about this earlier, that neutralizes acidic chyme coming out of the stomach so that your small intestine is not attacked by that really acidic hydrochloric acid that's in the stomach acid. The second accessory organ is the liver. It's the largest organ in your body. The largest organ of your body is your skin, but the skin's like on your body. I guess we can kind of think of it. Inside of your body, the liver is the largest organ. It contributes to digestion by producing bile. It also does many other things that aren't related to digestion, as does the pancreas. I started to say the pancreas also secretes a couple of hormones called insulin and glucagon that help regulate your blood sugar. But the liver contributes by making bile. A couple of lobes of the liver. And here's where it's located. Here's your liver. Here's your stomach. Here's your large intestine. Your small intestine is, you're not seeing that. That would be right here in the middle. So you notice that the stomach and the liver are actually behind the lower part of your rib cage. So your stomach is up in pretty high up, much higher than what you think it is. So bile is a greenish colored substance, and it breaks apart fat molecules. It's called emulsification. It doesn't digest the fat. It just breaks it into pieces so that, from a large piece, so that enzymes can attack those smaller pieces of fat and actually break those down. So it helps the digestion of fat by breaking it apart. So bile is made in the liver. It's stored in a little tiny sac that's attached to the liver called the gallbladder. Let's go back here 2 screens, and you see the gallbladder right here just peeking out from underneath of the liver. Bile is then introduced into the duodenum, which, remember, is the first part of the small intestine, and it is released when fatty food comes into the duodenum. When fatty food is there, then the gallbladder releases that bile, and that bile emulsifies or breaks up the fats in that fatty food. One problem that can occur with the gallbladder is that liquid bile can become solids sometimes and form what are called little gallstones. And gallstones can actually block that duct, cause extreme amount of pain in the gallbladder and in what's called the bile duct. It can cause lots of pain there and can actually block the bile from being released. You have to have surgery to fix that. And so that ends our discussion on accessory organs. Remember, pancreas, liver, gallbladder are the primary accessory organs of the digestive system. We've also talked about the large intestine today. So that's our last Edpuzzle for this unit. We'll talk next time.